for capturing flavor and nutrition. Woodland stoves and fireplaces can easily install one in your home or business. Enthusiasts use these ovens year-round for bread making, wood roasting, even grilling.
The mission and passion of Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces is to make the fire work for you. The way humans relate to fire is primordial. We have used fire to warm our bodies, cook our meals, and kindle our spirits. Our team has the know-how to do this in a clean-burning and environmentally smart way. Visit our store and experience the diversity. We have over 35 working units on display at the corner of Riverside and East Franklin. See us online at woodlandstoves.com. Find the fire that fits and works for you.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, out of the ordinary products and services since 1977.
For too long, American Indian tribes have faced a competitive disadvantage when litigating against powerful forces. With its American Indian law and policy practice, Robbins Kaplan, LLP, seeks to redefine excellence for high-stakes litigation in Indian country. They have worked hand-in-hand with tribes to implement the Tribal Law and Order Act, fighting against diminishment of tribal lands and natural resources, and improving public safety on reservations. The Robbins Kaplan American Indian Law and Policy Practice serves tribes and individuals on commercial, government investigations, agency and tribal boundary disputes, as well as personal injury. Founded and led by former United States Attorneys Brendan Johnson and Tim Purdon, their American Indian Law and Policy Practice exists to bring justice to tribal clients whose claims in the past have been dismissed or ignored due to their underdog status. If you or your tribe are facing legal issues, contact robinskaplan.com or call toll-free at 1-800-553-9910.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lulia. Winter storm warning continues with 3 to 7 inches of snow possible tonight with a low of 21. Then sunshine comes out Saturday with a high of 25. The Great Wall Restaurant has been providing an authentic taste of delicious Chinese cuisine since 1981. The Great Wall is located on France Avenue on the Minneapolis-Edina City line. View their menu at greatwallrestaurant.us. Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Cody Cup, hit me cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Cut all my friends and relatives all over Turtle Island.
Turtle Island. This is Robert Pilot, Ho-Chunk Nation here. Welcome to the show. This is Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake, and I'm here in Milwaukee, and it's pretty fabulous here in Milwaukee. I know it's snowing big time in Minnesota. As you know, Wendy, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Alliant Energy, powering beyond.
Hey, so I know there's a lot going on, Turtle Island, everything all over. Really excited to get Ogama in here. And as you know, Native Roots Radio, this is like the only place all over Turtle Island that you'll get the news. So why don't we go right to Ogama right now with the news. Welcome, Ogama.
Hi, Anim Bonjour, everybody. I'm Ogama Ganuikwe, and I'm here with you with news from Native Roots Radio. Going to pitch this again this week, coming up on December 19th, which is, I believe, next Sunday. There will be a land Defender and Water Protector Holiday Bazaar, brought to you by the International Indigenous Youth Council and Indigenous Roots in St. Paul. You can go and support water protectors on the front lines by buying a holiday gift. It'll be from 12 to 6 p.m. December 19th at Indigenous Roots, which is at 788 East 7th Street in St. Paul, Minnesota. That's going to be a really exciting event. Coming up here on the 14th, though, which I do believe is next Tuesday, is the National Day of Action against Line 3, against Line 3 at the U.S. Army Corps of Engineer offices throughout the country. The reason that December 14th is so important is because water protectors were first arrested in direct action of the Line 3 pipeline on December 14th of 2020, and now December 14th of 2021. Almost or a little over 1,000 people now in Minnesota alone have been arrested in opposition of the Line 3 pipeline. Right now, there's 2 federal court appeals for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers 404 permit on the Line 3 pipeline in northern Minnesota, and those are still awaiting decisions in Washington, D.C. And meanwhile, Enbridge has recently announced that it's going to be expanding its fossil fuel infrastructure capacity throughout the Gulf region in the southern United States. Environmental federal impact statements have not been done for either region at all. So they failed to do a federal environmental impact statement for Line 3 here in Minnesota, and there has not been a federal environmental impact statement done in the southern region in the Gulf Coast. Right now, in response to Enbridge's announcement to expand what's known as their Seawall pipeline, which would go from Houston, Texas to Corpus Christi, the indigenous peoples of the coastal bend promised the same resistance from tribal communities in Texas as they did with Line 3. They are among a broad coalition of signatories and a community-led letter that's being delivered nationwide on December 14th, requesting U.S. Army Corps of Engineers meet with and tour with communities and conduct a regional programmatic environmental impact statement for the Permian and Gulf South, and to give a comprehensive review of the infrastructure and environmental impacts of current facilities. So they're basically asking to be, included and, taken time to be reviewed and have the environmental impacts of these projects looked at, which I think is just, perfectly reasonable. But I mean, when we're talking about working with Enbridge, apparently it's not. So reminder that Tuesday, December 14th, starting at 5 p.m. if you're in the Twin Cities, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineer office is 180 5th Street East, number 700 in St. Paul. Or you can just look up the St. Paul Army Corps of Engineer office. So that is a big event that you can talk about with your family and friends, talk about why that's important. And you want to get involved with Stop Line 3, follow that hashtag Water is Life, those kinds of things, so that you can be aware of what's happening in the fight to stop Line 3 still, as well as these other things that are coming up within the Water is Life movement. I mean, it's just ridiculous how much how much things are going on throughout Turtle Island in general, as far as the environment goes, and these atrocities that continue to happen against Native people. One more note here, December 14th, Camp McGizzy or McGizzy Will Fly will be at the Douglas County Courthouse in Superior, Wisconsin at 2 p.m. Tasha Martineau, Alex Rose Golden Wolf, and Jake Spotted Wolf will share their experience of the front line against Line 3. And they will peacefully assemble, have hot chocolate and snacks, and you will be able to bring monetary donations to make Camp McGeezy and non-perishable food donations. So that's part of treaties, not tar stands, and getting involved at those events as well. Coming up here as well. So prayers up to everybody for that. You know, I have lots to make. Indigenous creatics. And then the last thing that I want to mention that COVID-19 is Minnesota, 98%.
Looks like we lost the mother station.
Oh, we lost the mother station.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I hear bumper music, so hey, we'll be right back
Hey.
to this short break.
Okay.
You're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake.
Hey, Olgama, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN 350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN 350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
We are your relatives.
We are your relations.
Brothers,
sisters,
sons,
daughters.
And some of us are your grandchildren.
We are your community. Historically, we held places of honor and respect. Because of the impact of colonization, some of us are rejected, thrown out from family, friends, and community, set up as targets for sexual violence, sex trafficked, humiliated, tortured, and murdered. Everybody has the right to be safe. We are your relatives. Remember,
homophobia is not traditional.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Aho, relatives. My name is George McCauley, Omaha Nation. I'm a citizen of the Omaha Nation in Nebraska, but reside in the Twin Cities area. As we head into wintertime, many of us will be back together indoors. It's important to make sure you receive your COVID booster shot. Those 65 and over are recommended to receive their booster dose. Older Americans are more at risk for complications for COVID-19. So get your booster shot to make sure you stay safe and healthy this winter. All 3 COVID vaccine boosters have been approved. Find a vaccine site by calling 651-304-9986 or go to this website, vaccineconnector.mn.gov. 651-304-9986. or go to vaccineconnector.mn.gov.
Hi, I'm Jane Fonda, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
Hey, welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is brought to you by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
So let me just switch over here. I'm going to start talking over just Clean Feed right now. I mean StreamYard. And Mary, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Awesome. Hey, welcome. Haven't seen you in a while. How are things going?
Oh, everything's going pretty well. I got to hang out with my granddaughter today, so it was a good day.
Wendy's in New York, and she's hanging out with our niece's daughter. So, and she's putting in some time too. So, all you guys are getting baby kisses. So that's awesome. So, what you been up to? What's going on with you? I'm here in Milwaukee, so it's not snowing. It's just raining. Wendy's in New York has beautiful weather, and you're in Minnesota, right?
Yeah, I'm in Minnesota, and Ogama, are you here in Minnesota too?
Right now, yes, I'm in central Minnesota, but it's not snowing where I am yet. So we'll see what the night brings.
Yeah, it's just been lightly snowing all day long, and my daughter came to pick up the granddaughter, and she said it's a little bit slippery out there. So I'll have to get out and walk my dog here in a little bit and see what it's actually like. But you know, we've been busy doing the work that we do in the interim from the state legislature. I'm on this committee to disperse the dollars from the opioid pandemic, and this committee is called, or advisory council is what it is called Opioid Epidemic Response Advisory Council. And I was just asked to sit in on this one. We have to figure out how to dole out the funds that came from a class action suit from the prescribers, drug manufacturers, and distributors, and we have to decide where to put that. And I think there's about $20 million every year that we will be able to access from fees and other items that are in connection with the drug manufacturers. And so we get to look at state government and county and different ways that we'll dispense those funds, and then allow, especially like the county, to use those funds in the best way possible, rather than do a top-down sort of approach. They know what's going on in their communities and where those kind of dollars will make the biggest difference. And then the tribes have a whole different tract of funding. I'm not exactly sure on that yet. I don't think there's been a full agreement on that. But we know that our Native communities are really seriously affected by the opioid pandemic. And, you know, the sooner we start working on that, the better.
Yeah, definitely. It's not going away. And I think like with COVID and the lockdown and all that is really taking the focus off that. And we have to really refocus into it, because it's gotten worse because of mental illness and mental health and all these things that have happened during the last couple of years of this epidemic.
Yeah. And, you know, the kind of the strength of the opioids, a lot of it is just, you know, 100% fentanyl, and, you know, that'll kill you in a second. I was at an event not too long ago, and a woman was telling me about her son, or not her son, one of her relatives, young man, took it for the first time, and it was so strong it instantly killed him. And so we are trying to do the best that we can to reduce those opioid overdoses and make sure that we are, you know, really addressing it in the best way. And I think the most important thing is and I think we should do this, you know, always, is to approach it through a cultural lens, and make sure that we're bringing our communities and the elders and the traditional ways of healing into the recovery from really any kind of addiction. I think that, you know, our communities especially are still struggling and still trying to put their lives back together after, the colonization and relocation and boarding schools and foster care and adoption. And this is one way that so many of our community members do a lot of self-medicating that way.
Yeah, I mean, we've been fighting this for years, alcoholism, any mood altering drug, and just all the years, I feel like it really affects spiritual people. I mean, everyone's spiritual to a certain degree, but I think it really affects Native Americans for many different ways, because of the trauma and things like that. It's worse than ever. But I mean, we grew up with liquor stores wanting to sell booze to Native Americans and keep them drunk, and all those things that have terribly happened. And this is just another leg, and it's hard because it's easy to get addicted, and it's also easy to die from fentanyl and all these terrible things that are coming out, Mary.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm looking at a report that I just pulled up, and it says the overall drug overdose death for American Indians in Minnesota rose considerably in 2015 to 2017. It increased from 47.3 per 100,000 persons in 2015 to 76.2 per 100,000 people in 2017. And so, we really do need to make a really concerted effort. And I know that there are many organizations and other folks that are really concerned that are starting to address this issue or have been addressing this issue for a long time. But the potency of these drugs and the addictiveness of these drugs is just, it's just unbearable, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, really. I mean, and I'm glad you're on this. And one of the things I wanted to mention too, that I rarely mention, but you are like the first woman state senator ever elected in Minnesota. Isn't that correct?
Oh, Native American. Yep.
Yep. That's amazing, and I think we should bring that up a lot more. Somebody told me that I was with or talking to, and I went, yeah, Mary's on our show every Friday, and that's something I should really bring up, because as you're talking and as the things that you're working on with our people and opening the door for our people and Native people, we have to remember that people listening to us in Milwaukee, listening to us in Madison and Chicago and all over the internet, is that Mary is the first and hopefully not the last. And I really feel
the last.
Right. And so that's something really to be proud of, but also to really, because we're really proud of you being the state senator, but it's also like, well, wow, you're the first one. It's 2021 or 2020 when you were elected. So
yeah,
kudos to you, but wow.
But it's a sad fact that, here in Minnesota, where we have, 11 federally recognized tribal nations and, just a beautiful array of tribal members from across the United States and Canada living here in Minnesota. And here I am, the first one. It just doesn't make sense to me that we haven't had that kind of participation, and it really does make a difference in the kind of legislation. I was just telling my daughter, my assistant and I went through the bills that I'm going to work on next session and then what we were able to do this session, and I forgot all the good work that we did, especially for Indian country. And I don't know that would happen if I wasn't there to advocate or to carry those bills. And I think that's why we've had that low representation for so long, or real positive action in our state, because there just hasn't been somebody to bring it up. And a lot of times it's because folks don't know about it. Nobody knew about MMIW until I brought it up in the legislature and passed that legislation. Nobody knew about the jurisdictional issues with our police force, our tribal police forces, So there's a lot of educating that goes on at the legislature, and I'm just really glad that I can be there to do that.
Yeah, and we are too, and I think we're going to come up here on a break here in a minute or so. I just excites me too, because we're really getting revved up here. So but why don't we take a quick break? You're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and Mary, Nancy says it all for us. We love you, and we'll be right back. We'll be right back after this short break with State Senator Mary Kunesh. You're listening.
Stay with us.
Hey, Wendy, what are we doing for dinner after the show?
How about we go to J. Selby's on 169 Victoria Street in St. Paul? They have a delicious plant-based menu that's compassionate and environmentally sustainable.
I'm getting their spot-on vegan Big Mac, the dirty secret.
You can pick up and they deliver within a 5-mile radius, or you can call them at 651-222-3263 or visit jselbys.com.
Well, you sold me, Wen. Let's go order at J. Selby's tonight.
I'm hungry.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
If you're hurting in your relationship or have been affected by sexual violence, you're not alone. Strong Hearts Native Helpline can help you through these difficult and uncertain times. Strong Hearts Helpline is a free 24/7 confidential domestic dating and sexual violence helpline for Native Americans. Help is available by calling 1-844-762-8483 or by clicking on the Chat Now icon on strongheartshelpline.org. This message is sponsored by the National Indigenous Women's Resource Center.
Hi, I'm Anna and I'm 8 years old and I'm getting my COVID vaccine. If you're between 5 and 11 years old, you can get vaccinated too. Getting the jab might seem a little scary, but there is lots of good reasons to do it. You'll be protected from COVID and you'll be less likely to spread it to people like family and friends. Have your parents find a vaccination site by calling 651-304-9986 or visit vaccineconnector.mn.gov.
Spruce up your home with non-toxic vegan candles from Wisco Home Goods. I'm Don, one of the owners of this family-owned Midwestern business in Madison, Wisconsin. Our candles are 100% sustainable and come in a variety of unique blends and scents that make a perfect holiday gift. Plus, at Wisco Home Goods, we believe in giving back. With our Do Good, Smell Good campaign, a portion of the proceeds go to local charities. So support a Midwestern company that supports our local communities. Order now at wiscohomegoods.com.
Navigating COVID while protecting yourself can be difficult. Fortunately, there's a hotline you can call with any questions. The Department of Indian Work St. Paul partnered with the Minnesota Department of Health to open the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline. They provide information on vaccines, booster shots, and testing sites. Right now, booster shots are available to anyone over the age of 18 for those who are eligible. The Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline can also help with housing, food, medical, and educational support. If you or someone you know has questions about COVID-19, vaccinations, booster shots, or testing, please call 651-304-9986. Again, the number is 651-304-9986. The Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline is open for calls Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Call the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline at 651-304-9986.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lulia. Winter storm warning continues with 3 to 7 inches of snow possible tonight with a low of 21. Then sunshine comes out Saturday with a high of 25. This holiday season, give your loved one a unique gift from one of our unique AM 950 advertisers. Find our list of advertisers at am950radio.com.
This is Winona LaDuke of Honor the Earth, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio. I'm awake.
We are Alusa Nation.
Hey, welcome back to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is brought to us by MN 350, a grassroots organization fighting for climate justice.
Hey, we're here with State Senator Mary Kunesh of Minnesota, and Mary's been talking a little bit about, what's happening to Indian country, but also like the mental health that's happening all over Turtle Island. And then towards the end there, we were just really excited and relishing the fact that State Senator Mary Kunesh is the first Native American state senator in Minnesota. And so I don't know where we go from there, Mary. What else has been going on? You know, it's always great to see Fridays, and we missed you last Friday. I know you were doing some work, and so what else is going on? Tell us. I think I hear a little baby in the background.
Oh yeah, that's my granddaughter. She's what, 2.5 months, Lou? Not even 2.5 months. And Fridays are my day to spend with her. So I'm pretty excited about that. But I think, going back to, the fact that maybe that I am the first Native American woman in the Senate, we really need our Native folks to stop for a minute and think about what that means to the communities. If they can, step up and run for an office or become more active in their communities. I have a friend of mine who is Latinx, but she just became the first Latinx woman mayor in one of the communities that I represent. And she's done incredible things for the folks of color. In fact, she got her council to adopt a land acknowledgement and to set forward some actions that they will do to, really address the some of the inequities and promote, the joy of having and living in diverse communities. So it's not just our Native folks that we need to ask to step up and run for office at whatever level possible, but our folks of color that are often quite not represented to the best that they could be within their communities, because there just isn't a voice or somebody to say, hey, what about us? These things need to be addressed as well. So more of that needs to be done, and this next year is going to be another big election year, 2022. Everybody, all of our congressional representatives at the federal level, at the state level, have to be reelected because of redistricting. And so think about that and how you can make a difference for your community and for your tribes and for your people, because nobody's going to do it for you. You got to step up and do it.
Hey, when we're doing rock the vote Native style, like 4 or 5 months before the last election, it was interesting because it seemed like almost every day we would find another Native American that's running. And in the last cycle, it amazes me, but now we should try and double that, right, Mary?
Yeah, you were breaking up pretty bad, but I think I got the gist of what you were saying. Last time around, we worked really hard on getting out the Native vote, and Nancy Bolo can contest to that. She worked really, really hard to get that vote out, and it made a huge difference here in Minnesota. I think we had the highest voting rates that we've ever had in the history of our state. And but we still need to build that capacity at a lot of rates. Here in Minnesota, we have our precinct caucuses coming up on February 1st. And that is the opportunity for folks to meet with their precinct, sign up to become a delegate at the endorsement convention. So you basically, as a delegate, you're deciding who's going to be your party representative, either if you're GOP or Democrat. But you also can bring forward resolutions for the state, for your state party to carry. So I know that Nancy Bolo did that last time. Were you there, Ogama, for that?
I wasn't there for that, but I was actually wondering if you could maybe give our audience a little bit more information on how to become a delegate and what that looks like.
Yeah. Well, what you'll need to do is find out when your party's precinct caucus is, and in Minnesota for the Democrats, it's February 1st. It's in the evening. It's usually at a school, and usually they split all the precincts up into into their own classroom. So when I'm in precinct 2, I would go to precinct 2 classroom. There would be other people from my precinct there. We would talk about issues that were important to us. If somebody wrote up a resolution for the DFL that says, I really want to pass an acknowledgement that we have to enforce the treaties and recognize the sovereignty of our tribal nations. And then those folks in that room would vote, yes, we want that to go forward, or nay, and then it does or it doesn't. But what you do then is whoever is your precinct captain will say, okay, who would like to become a delegate to go onto the endorsement convention, and then maybe even your state convention, and then maybe even the national convention. And that's when you sign up to do that. If there's some reason that you can't go to precinct caucuses, you can contact your Senate district chair, and they can give you a form that you would fill out that says, I can't be there, but I do want to be a delegate. And then they try to make it as balanced as possible with gender and that sort of thing. And then it's your responsibility to get to know all the candidates that are going to be running in your district, your Senate district, and then go to that endorsement convention, and then you vote for whichever candidate it is that you think should go on to run for the seat, for whatever seat it is. And so that's how it works here in Minnesota.
Wow, that's amazing. I seem to be breaking up a little bit here in Milwaukee, so I'm wondering if when I can take over asking Mary the question.
Well, Robert, what I'd be asking Mary is how her granddaughter is, and like you said, I've been taking care of my niece here. She just turned 1 month old, so I'm really enjoying it. So yeah.
Yep. And anybody can do that. Anybody can become involved in that way. It's the future of those children, of our nieces and our grandchildren that we're working on. And it's the we always say the next 7 generations we do this work for. And here in Minnesota, we want to make sure that we leave our water and our air and our land in better shape than we found it. We want to make sure that we are fully funding our educational system. We're going to need to do a lot of work to put that back our schools back in order after this pandemic. I don't know about where all of you are, but I know a lot of the schools have decided to even start their holiday break a little bit early, just to give the teachers a break. They're exhausted. They're just really overworked, and with the COVID on the rise, especially here in Minnesota, we have so many unvaccinated people that are now ill. They're recognizing that our teachers are getting burnt out, and so many have already retired or taken leave of absence. So I appreciate that. I appreciate those districts that recognize that and are making sure that our teachers are being taken care of in a little bit better way too.
Yeah, and keeping those schools safe is really important too, Mary. There was a school here on Long Island that closed down because they had threats of a shooting. So somebody called in and said something like, or to the effect of, "I hate this school, I'm going to go in and shoot people." So they had to close the school down for a few days. So, keeping our schools safe is another really big, thing on the agenda.
Yeah. We just had a few instances of yet again shootings within the schools, which is just so heartbreaking. And we just have to be on that high alert all the time. Schools are supposed to be our safe haven in our communities, and they really haven't been that for a while.
Right. And COVID is another factor with all of this too. It's not just school violence with the guns, it's also COVID. I was just reading an article from NPR earlier today that Mankato schools are really having a hard time, and they're rethinking what their COVID protocols are because this last week they had, in 3 days between Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, they had over 80 cases of COVID-19 in their schools, and have been seeing this really steady rise. And right now, the school district's protocols are just that when students are sick, they're staying home, but they're also trying to do contact tracing and those kinds of things. But it's just looking like the families aren't just following, are not following those protocols at all. So now they've been sending their kids to school potentially sick and infecting other children, and it's it's terrifying, the level of things that our teachers and our students deal with, just walking into a school building every day that threatens and endangers their lives. And I want to commend our teachers that I don't think I've ever met a teacher that wouldn't step in front of and, take a bullet for his or her students, and the same is true for COVID. They would much rather it be them than their students as well.
Yeah.
So if you're teaching right now and you're listening, we appreciate you.
Yes. Yeah, for those that are listening, I was a teacher for 25 years and I just retired about a year ago. And I've said it so many times, I'm just bittersweet because I miss the school so much. But in some ways, I'm a little relieved not to have to be dealing with all of this. But then I turn around and we're trying to figure out how to put these schools back in order, what kind of resources that we're going to need, not just to finish the school year, but maybe summer school again. And then we have no idea what the next fall will be like. And so it's always that wait and see, and kind of, I hate to say, flying by the seat of our pants. I don't know out there in greater United States, but Minnesota is really struggling with having just bus drivers to get kids to school. There are plenty of districts that don't have enough or don't have bus drivers, and that's another burden on the parents and another burden on teachers when kids aren't able to make it to school. So I hope that we all give ourselves grace, that we're all patient with each other and recognize that we're all doing the very best that we can. Maybe not everybody. Please go out there and get your vaccinations and your boosters. Please wear your masks, whether you're boosted or not. You don't know if you're carrying it. And just do the best to take care of everybody in your communities, not just yourselves or your family, but all of us need to take care of each other.
Thank you so much, Mary.
Mary. Oh, Peeny Geeny. We'll be right back. Thank you so much, Mary. This is Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake, and that was State Senator Mary Kunesh. We'll be back after this short break.
Stay with us. Ogama, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN 350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN 350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
For too long, American Indian tribes have faced a competitive disadvantage when litigating against powerful forces. With its American Indian law and policy practice, Robbins Kaplan, LLP, seeks to redefine excellence for high-stakes litigation in Indian country. They have worked hand in hand with tribes to implement the Tribal Law and Order Act, fighting against diminishment of tribal lands and natural resources, and improving public safety on reservations. The Robbins Kaplan American Indian Law and Policy Practice serves tribes and individuals on commercial, government investigations, agency and tribal boundary disputes, as well as personal injury. Founded and led by former United States Attorneys Brendan Johnson and Tim Purdon, their American Indian law and policy practice exists to bring justice to tribal clients whose claims in the past have been dismissed or ignored due to their underdog status. If you or your tribe are facing legal issues, contact robinskaplan.com or call toll-free at 1-800-553-9910.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy. But with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
Bijou, I am Oshawashko Gijig. I'm from Red Lake Nation, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. And I'm going to hand over the show to my lovely wife, Wendy, because I think my internet's going in and out of the hotel. So take it away, and Wendy and Ogama.
Thanks, everybody. Welcome back to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake. And this portion of the show is brought to you by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations. That's great. Hopefully my internet connection will come in okay. This is our sacred animal section. My name is Hanaji Hihani, and that means cares for them. And I was given that name by my Dega, Curtis. So as always, Curtis, thank you very much. So everybody knows for the last few days, I've been on Long Island in New York, in a city called Long Beach. I'm 29 miles southeast from Manhattan, and I am right on the ocean, right next to the ocean, right next to the Atlantic Ocean. And the city of Long Beach has a beautiful boardwalk. It's called the Long Beach Boardwalk. It's 2.2 miles one way, and it's really, really beautiful. So I was walking the boardwalk today because it's rather warm here in New York, and I was thinking about what I was going to talk about. And if you are able to see the pictures, I actually took these pictures today while I was on the boardwalk. So I'll describe some of them. And actually what I'm going to be talking about are these seagulls that I watched all day long. And, you know, growing up in a town, it's about 3 miles from here, called Oceanside, I grew up with these birds, the seagulls, and I don't really know anything about them. So today I figured that I would, excuse me, I would talk about seagulls, and we will see what we find out. So today is our Fun Friday, and I have fun facts about some seagulls today. So right now, what you're seeing right now is a flock of seagulls, but it's not the rock group. It's just a flock of seagulls, and I'm going to talk about that. Ogamuk, you want to go to the next slide? I'll just quickly talk about where that's how close I was to the seagull. They let you here get very, very close to you, and they're really not afraid of you. But the average, here's two seagulls, and I swear that they were looking at each other and squawking back and forth, and I think that they were having a conversation with each other. So I thought that that was a cute picture to take. But the average lifespan of a seagull is 10 to 15 years in the wild. I didn't know that they lived that long, and there have been cases where they have lived up to 30 years. You may not know this, but that seagulls can eat up to 20% of their body weight in food each day. Since the average seagull weighs about 1.5 pounds, this means a seagull could potentially eat around 3 ounces of food every day. A group of seagulls, and that was the picture that I saw, is called a colony. A colony consists of thousands of individual birds. These colonies are often found on the coastlines and shores or inland in lakes, ponds, and marshes. They can also be found on farms where they feed on grain crops like wheat or corn. And I've even seen these colonies in parking lots here at the grocery store when there's not too many cars around. The flight speed of seagulls has been studied by a number of scientists who have found that seagulls can achieve an average flight speed of about 25 miles an hour in headwind conditions and 29 to 30 miles an hour in tailwinds. And I think that's pretty spectacular. There was a picture there of on the boardwalk. They have all the Christmas decorations up on the light posts, and one is a seagull, and it lights up at night, and it's pretty good. And there's a seagull on top of the light post, and underneath it is a a shark light. So I thought that was kind of cute. I did not know this, but seagulls mate for life. So they both take care of the babies, and I didn't know that they mate for life. And the male does most of the hunting, and the female watches and stays by the nest. But I thought that was pretty impressive, and I didn't know that. The seagulls have an impressive sense of smell that allows them to detect the faintest trace of food from over 3 miles away. This ability to detect food is crucial factor in survival of many species of seagulls. This is possible because they use sensitive nerve endings called Jacobson's organs inside their nostrils. There are 28 types of gulls species seen in North America, and seagulls have incredible vision. They can see clearly from as far as 2 miles away. This is because their eyes are set at the side of their head, giving them a panoramic view. This means that seagulls are able to spot predators coming in from all directions and fly off right before it's too late. And here's a funny thing, and this fact reminds me of crows. They have excellent memories and can remember specific people's faces and places where food has been hidden from days ago. Seagulls can also recognize other seagulls who they associate with as friends or enemies by their calls. And like I said before, seagulls mate for life. They are monogamous. These animals spend their lives together until one dies. They mate for life and form a lifelong bond with their partner. They work as a team to find food, protect the nest, and raise the chicks. The male seagull brings most of the food while the female cares for the eggs or the young at home. And seagulls are found all over the world. The birds live in every continent, even Antarctica, and they're often associated with coastal regions, seaside towns, fishing villages, inland waterways, and some inland locations. They're also one of the most commonly seen birds in cities. These scavengers can be seen hovering around garbage cans, docks, and parks looking for the next meal. So everybody thinks of Finding Nemo, where they say, me, 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 me.
Wow, great job, Wendy. We'll be back next week. Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. Good night, everyone.